Hello everyone, this is Nitpicking Nerd, and today I want to review another Gina Davis movie, which is called Earth Girls Are Easy, and I remember seeing this movie on TV as a little kid, probably at around the age of 6 or 7, and I didn't yet know English, and I couldn't yet read the subtitles, so I didn't understand anything in the movie, and there were a bunch of sex jokes which I could not have yet understood, and so I didn't really remember much from this movie except the part in the beginning when the aliens arrived and there was a strange spaceship, and all of those parts were something I remember even years later, and I couldn't find the movie. I didn't know how to look for it because I didn't remember any of the actors, I didn't recognize any of them. You know, back when I watched this movie, I didn't yet know who Jim Carrey was or Jeff Goldblum. And I didn't remember that later on who were the actors. All I remembered was there were a bunch of aliens who looked like colorful birds or something. That's how I remembered it, because they were wearing those strange hats. And so in my mind, when I imagined it, I seemed to remember some kind of movie about three aliens crashing into a pool of this woman, and they looked like birds. They were colorful, and then later she shaved them, and then they looked like humans. That's basically all I remembered from the movie. And many years later, when there was Google and all of that, I simply wrote what I remembered in Google, and that's how I found the movie. And then when I watched it again, it was a little bit disappointing. It wasn't as awesome as I remembered it. It was as if my memory made it much more awesome. Or maybe as a kid watching that, it seemed to be much more awesome at the time. And I just rewatched the movie again, and it's not terrible. There were some good moments, there were some funny jokes, but the plot is really thin, I would say. It's basically about this woman whose boyfriend is cheating on her, and then she meets these three aliens, and one of them is Jeff Goldblum, and later she falls in love with him and all of that. And I found it funny how many times she was the lover of Jeff Goldblum, because she was his lover in the movie The Fly. And there was even some similarity in this movie when after they sleep together, suddenly she gets worried what would happen if she gets pregnant, because he's an alien, so maybe she'll give birth to a monster. And so that kind of made me laugh, because I remembered the movie The Fly when she was also worried about that. And so it happens again in this movie, and then she immediately takes a bunch of birth control pills because of the thought of again being pregnant from Jeff Goldblum. And so I found it funny, and so I just looked up why did they play in so many movies together always as lovers, and it turns out they were actually married in this time period, so maybe that's why they always cast them together as lovers, and that way they can have all those steamy sex scenes together without it being awkward, like in The Fly and like in this movie. So that's some interesting trivia which I didn't know about. And Jim Carrey is also in this movie, and there's a scene of him in a bar when he kind of takes out a very long tongue into a glass, and some women see him, and then one of them says, "Oh, I'm taking him home with me," and all of that. So this is the kind of joke which I would not have understood as a kid, so I didn't remember those parts. So the movie did have some funny moments, but still the most interesting part in this whole movie was the beginning when they were all looking like aliens, and they crash landed into her pool, and their spaceship was actually really small, and when they went out they had to enlarge themselves to be the same size as humans. And I think that's kind of a unique, interesting science fiction idea which wasn't done that much in a whole bunch of movies. And so it's no wonder that's the only part of this movie that I remembered, that they actually had to change their size when they wanted to get out or into their spaceship. So that's really kind of the only interesting science fiction element in this whole movie. And it's basically a silly comedy. Most of the jokes are not really that funny, except a few good moments. And maybe it's funny to a specific age group, maybe to teenagers. Some of these jokes would be more funny. And the whole part about the aliens having to learn to act like humans by watching TV and all of that, and then later they recite from commercials and stuff they saw on TV. I guess all of that stuff is kind of funny, but we saw that in so many other movies since then that it's no longer really that funny to me. But I guess when this movie came out, all of this was much more original. So I think I would say this is a cute movie that is not really bad, but not great either. And the only real part of it I would recommend to science fiction fans is the beginning of the movie. And I guess if you really want to check it out, you can just watch it, and then if you enjoy it you can keep watching it, but nothing really amazing happens in the end. So the beginning was the most interesting part, when they look like aliens and they behave strangely and all of that. And there's the kind of joke that I saw in a lot of other places when she hits her head in the pool, and then they save her, and then she kind of holds her head with her hand, and then they imitate that movement. I saw the same kind of joke in many places, even in Star Trek Deep Space Nine, when Quark and the Ferengi crash landed on Earth and they were hitting their head to reset their universal translator, and then the humans thought that's a great thing that they do, so they did the same thing, and so we have similar scenes here, and so a bunch of jokes like that, which I've seen in so many other places, and so it's not really that funny to me, but it's still kind of cute. And I think Jim Carrey was underused in this movie. There were a few funny moments with him, but they didn't really exploit his potential of doing strange, funny things. And so I feel as if this movie could have been and should have been much better than it is, but it's still a charming movie with a few unique things which I never saw in any other movie, and so therefore I decided to do a quick review of it. So that's really all I have to say about it. For today, let me know what you think and we can discuss it in the comment section below, and I will see you all next time. Bye bye.